The 9 Years Podcast.
All right, welcome to the 9 Years Podcast, episode 38, I believe. And thank you very much for listening, however you might be it on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Podomatic.com, all the usual channels, whether you're listening to our website as well, 9yrspodcast.com. And as I always say, if you could, very much appreciate your 5-star ratings and any of your feedback on iTunes. Just look at our iTunes page, links through our Twitter site at 9yrspodcast. Try and bump up our profile a little bit on there. Stu, to be honest with you, I'm a little bit underprepared for this week's show. That's probably not the best thing to admit, is it, at the start of a podcast? I know we mentioned last week about being unprofessional. I think I've been somewhat unprofessional this week.
Honesty is always a good thing, Nick, to be fair, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I would say, to be fair, I'm ultra prepared because I've been doing nothing this week. So I've probably got loads of preparations done, mate.
Well, yeah, I suppose we should explain. This podcast is almost going to be, it's like a podcast within a podcast, isn't it? Because we've actually recorded the majority of this show ahead of time. We spoke with my brother. We sat down, spoke about ticket prices. So we recorded that almost separately. And now that you've gone on holiday, this was before you went on holiday, we recorded the first bit. Now you've gone away for a week. We're just filling in either side. We're looking back at the Plymouth game. Now we'll look ahead to the fixtures in a week. So it's all come together in sort of stages this week, which means I'm, at this very moment in time, I don't know, I'm a bit, what's the word?
Confused.
Yeah, a little bit confused. Discombobulated, I think was the word I was looking for.
That's a big word.
That is a big word. Do you know what? I haven't even looked at the music that we start the show with this week. I don't. As we're recording this, I don't know what the listeners would have heard as the show began. We could even discuss this now if you want. Have you got any particular requests you'd like? A song maybe you think we should have put at the start of the show and we haven't yet? Anything come to mind? Britney Spears maybe?
Yeah, Madonna, Holiday for myself, or I don't know, the Tough Get Going, that sort of like playoff.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
The Billy Ocean, the tough, or The Only Way Is Up. I don't know. There's loads of stuff, isn't it? Anything that has an uplifting beat to it, because of course it's an uplifting podcast. Because we're back on the road, aren't we? Back on the road.
We are on the way to being promoted. Yes, currently we are 7th. We are occupying a playoff place after our fantastic win at Plymouth on the weekend. We will talk about that, and as I say, then we will broadcast our chat with my brother about ticket prices, following on from the Don's Trust SGM last week. And then after that, we'll go through and look ahead to the games against Crawley and Dagenham and Richmond, of course. Teaser and birthdays games and all like that we recorded with Chris as well, so you'll hear those once we go to that part of the show. You see, we're all over the shop, aren't we? But I can promise you, I will do a holiday-related theme for you at the start. I'll choose a piece of music related to a holiday, okay?
I can't wait, because I will download it, especially so I can, when I fly back on Saturday morning for the game, I will make sure I listen to the podcast to remember what we discussed.
Are you actually flying back on the Saturday morning?
I have a flight, yeah. I've got my flight just before 10 o'clock Friday night, and I get back in about just after 2.
Oh, I see. Okay. So there shouldn't be any problems with you getting to Kings Meadow?
Nah, nothing at all. And planned it, I planned it so well just to make sure it sat around the football season. It's my playoff break. It's my pre-playoff break. That's what I called it as.
You're having a rest to get yourself mentally prepared for the playoff, which we may or may not actually be in yet.
We may not be, but to be fair, after Hartlepool, I told people that I was going away on holiday for a break before the playoffs. They laughed at me. And of course, I would have laughed at myself because, to be fair, after Hartlepool game, the way I felt after that and after the way I felt as Plymouth couldn't be different at all, could they? Massive change in form.
Absolutely. 2 wins on the bounce. Wickham away and Plymouth away, which we looked at and thought, we'd be happy with 2 draws, to be fair, and have put us right back in contention. So we do occupy that final playoff place as we stand, and we also have a game in hand against most of the teams we're competing with, which when you look at the league table now, I think we're looking at Exeter, Wickham, Leyton Orient being our main threats now.
Yeah, I think you can probably still include Carlisle in that. I really do.
Well, yeah, they're in the mix, yeah.
I think because Carlisle, we said it when we played them, it was a fortunate win. They were probably one of the better teams we played down at our place this season. So I suppose you could go down to as far as Carlisle, Orient. Depends how this situation with Nolan being taken off for manager duties and Hess Tyler coming in, who's got experience. So They could still be in it, but I think realistically, without being too cocky, it's ours to lose at the moment.
Well, no, it is. It really is ours to lose. It's Portsmouth and ourselves that have played a game less than anyone else. Obviously, our game was postponed. So when we catch up that in a couple of weeks, we'll all have played the same amount of games. But we're in possession of the final playoff place as it stands. And when you look at our remaining fixtures, you have to say that you'd fancy us to take... We're not going to take maximum points from them. Of course we're not. We'll drop points somewhere. We're not going to win all 6 of these games. But actually, take away the Portsmouth game, maybe. I don't see any reason why we can't win 5 out of the remaining 6, which would guarantee us that final place, wouldn't it?
It would. A couple of weeks ago, we after the York game, wasn't it? We did the Round Table podcast, didn't we, with Jane and Ray?
Yes.
And we did our podcast. I must admit, I think, not to blow your own trumpet, but I don't think our point total at the moment is too far off what I predicted. I think I did put us down as drawing at Wickham. Sorry, I think I had us down as winning at Wickham and drawing at Plymouth. So I think actually, I reckon I'm not far off being the closest on the predictions. But we also, to bring the story back, we did look at all the other fixtures, didn't we? And we looked at the fixtures the other teams had, and they weren't easy. Our fixtures looked better if we could get to Plymouth, as we are now, where we are. We thought we had a great chance, didn't we?
We did. And when you look ahead, as we said, Crawley, Dagenham and Richmond, Stevenage, Newport, that's 3 of the bottom 4 that we have to play over the next few weeks. So with those 2 wins, putting ourselves in position already, I actually do fancy us now. I think it will be similarly with Leicester in the Premier League being in the position where they are. And everyone's looking now at Leicester thinking if they don't win the league now, it's going to be they would have blown it. Although the expectation obviously clearly wasn't there at the start of the season, and for us it was not really an expectation we get in the playoffs. We thought there's a possibility, but it wasn't really something we were aiming for. But now we're in the position, I think if we don't do it now, I must admit I do think we'd have blown it. But anyway, let's look at the Plymouth game.
Yes.
On this podcast last week, I may have suggested that Adebayo Akinfenwa was on his way out of the club and was 5th choice striker and was not going to be particularly influential. Naturally, of course, I knew what I was doing there. I was obviously saying that just because I knew he was going to come into the team and play an important part. Now, Paul Raymond, who did a fantastic job providing the updates for our Twitter site on Saturday at Plymouth game, he did text us, didn't he, during the game saying Bayo's come on and Bayo's looking really lively and really up for it. And then lo and behold, 2 minutes to go, he pops up with the winner. Would any other player have scored the goal that Bayo did on Saturday? Would any other player had the ability to do such a header?
No, you didn't know the head. No one would have done that. There's no way anyone would have been able to hold off Nelson twice. So he basically, Nelson looked actually scared, didn't he? Scared shitless of Bayo.
The way we've just blown our sort of explicit content out the window these last few weeks. We don't give a fudge anymore about that.
That's not a swear word, is it?
Fudge, no.
To be fair, it's mild compared to what Nelson was doing when he chased him back after Bayo. But yeah, he basically he didn't allow Nelson to get a header or clear header, and in the end, Nelson just ended up heading up into the air where Bayo then got a run on him. And McCormick in goal just didn't know whether to come or not, and ended up being in no man's land. But no one else was going to score that goal. But yeah, I was with you though. To be fair, Nick, I was with you of Bayo being a 5th choice striker. But we have to say we've got a hell of a strike force of 5 strikers. So you have to give it to Neil Ardley, and Bayo afterwards was very complimentary of Neil Ardley in terms of the way that he's made the team such a close knit that a 5th choice striker who hasn't really played much this season was able to come off the bench, not sulk, not just go through the motions, but actually wanted to do it for the team and the group. So full credit to Bayo because he's not had much of a look-in, has he? He's not had a look-in at all, really, has he, in the last few weeks? But it has been a key feature, to be fair, and we highlighted it, especially after the Wickham game as well, about the team ethic, the team spirit in our side at the moment. And the work rate that we put into every game. And because Wickham and Plymouth, I'd imagine, not getting to Plymouth obviously, but certainly the Wickham game, it was very much a case of individuals doing their jobs in terms of nothing spectacular, but keeping your shape, putting your tackles in, do you know what I mean, filling in when other players are out of position, things like that.
And that's going to see us through, especially with the likes of Paul Robinson and Darius Charles and Danny Boorman, who continues just to go on at however old he is now, 74 years age or whatever he is, just continuing just to give 100% performances every single week. I understand Paul Robinson was, again, outstanding at Plymouth.
Yeah, and to be fair, that partnership, Robson and Darius, it don't look bad at all, does it? You know, you've got the experience of Barry Fuller, and then you've got Jonathan Meades, who, to be fair, isn't highly experienced at left back, but plays as if he is. I think somehow we've been not lucky, because you don't get lucky by signing players, but by bringing Darius Charles as we did, I think actually we've really been fortunate with Burton's situation where they don't need him, and then bringing Murphy in, which I will still stand. And Murphy, I look at it at the moment of having a 9-game season. You've got to include the 3 games in the playoffs. It's a 9-game season, in my opinion. And we've got players now that can come in, do a job with Murphy, and do well when he comes in. But the experience through, and I would say, you know, if we look back to the first goal that we scored, Jay Reeves, what a run from his own half! He literally took out the whole Plymouth midfield, didn't he? From 2 touches.
We have to clear this one up just quickly. When you say literally took out the Plymouth midfield, do you mean sort of just worked his way through them, sort of left them in his wake?
What he did,
he just gunning them down.
A touch on the edge of the area. I think Plymouth had a screening. I think 2 players on the edge of the box, didn't they? I think we managed to play a quick pass into Jake, and normally the first reaction there is, I'll knock it into the channel, I'll get it as far away as possible, we can all push up. But Jay literally showed the confidence that he has at the moment, where he thought, you know what, no, I'm going to run. But the pace that he run, he took out the Plymouth. I know the Plymouth team were obviously all attacking the corner, but what I mean, I think from memory of looking back, I think there was 4 players back, I think, but there was a massive gap in the midfield area. But I think Jake took 2 or 3 touches and then played a brilliant ball into Lyle Taylor, who took the offside, took out the offside trap and then slotted it in. It's a great breakaway goal, but I think it also highlights how well Jake Reeves is playing at the moment.
Well, we're getting to that stage of the season, Stu, where we're starting to think about Player of the Year and things like that. I'm sure votes will be starting. They might even be starting this Saturday. They're normally about this time when we sort of hear mention of it. Would Jake Reeves be in the running for you?
For Player of the Year?
Yeah.
He wouldn't be far off it. It wouldn't be my choice, but that's purely because I think we've had outstanding players in other positions. But he probably would be in my top 4. I think because the whole season, I don't think he's been consistently. I think the last, probably since Christmas, I think Jake's finally realised how important he is into that team and demanded the ball a lot more and stuff like that. I don't think he's had a whole great season. But if you look at the season from January, then yeah, he probably would be. But he'd be in my top 4 easy. I still look to the goal. Obviously, the last-minute winner against York as potentially being instrumental almost. I know we didn't follow it up particularly well immediately after that, but I think of those 2 extra points, without which we'd be outside the playoff places at the moment and struggling. Yeah,
you mentioned there, obviously, Lyle Taylor scored the first goal. He was then substituted. Aziz and Akinfenwa rotated with Taylor and Elliott, came on with about 20 minutes to go. We've already mentioned about Akinfenwa. The pace of Aziz, very important, I think, in helping us out as well, get 3 points. Substitutions seem to be key. Yeah,
and I think, we've said, I'm trying to remember the game now where I think Neil Hardy made a total muck up with substitutions. I think it was one of the home games, wasn't it?
Was it Oxford?
Possibly, yeah, it was the Oxford game. I think we just changed the tempo, didn't win. And some people going, I heard it on the way out, and I laughed because I remember, I think I mentioned it on the podcast, but some people going, he keeps making the wrong substitutions, cost us games. And I remember just thinking, I think that's one of Neil Hardy's strong points. And this year, he clearly set up to get 4 or 5 strikers in, and he's regularly gone for this 2-on, 2-off forward-wise. It's as if now it's becoming the norm that the 2 forwards that go in will run their proverbials off up to 60, 70 minutes, and then we do a straight change. We've done it in most games this season. It's not something that the opposition are not expecting. But when you bring on, the combination he brought on Saturday, bringing on Aziz and Bayo, was a different combination. What you get with Bayo is he's going to beat people up, as he did for the goal. With Aziz, you're going to get 2 or 3 1-on-1s. You're just hoping that he's going to scuff it to score, because he's not going to score if he has to think too much. But what Aziz does brilliantly is he basically means, if you're leading a game or you're stretching a game, Aziz is great because he'll run the channels all day. the centre-halves don't really want to step up on him. They don't really want to get too deep. And in the end, he just causes them problems. He's I love Aziz. I just wish he could score goals more than what he does already.
Substitutions were mentioned in a number of our Don's 3-word match reports, which we do on Twitter and Facebook after each and every game. Hashtag Don's 3-word reports. And Mike at KT6Mike did say as his report simply Neil's inspired substitutions. Wild Bear Man 54 at Daniel Pagonis 54. I hope I've got that all right. Still in it, referring of course to our playoff chances, and we are definitely right in it now. And Gary Wilkes at Gary_M_Wilkes, beast mode on. Say, well, I don't think we had a chance to use that.
Haven't heard that for ages, have we?
No, it's been a long time. I think he actually, last time he scored was at Orient away, I think. The equaliser there, to my memory. So there you go.
Wow.
It's been quite a while. So thank you for those. We also do the Twitter man of the match poll. 4 candidates. It was a tie this week, actually. And 2 players we featured there when we were discussing the game, Paul Robinson and Jake Reeves, tied after another healthy vote this week, having won the game. Higher number of votes again. 42% of the votes. John Meads, 13%. Darius Childs, 3%. So well done, Robbo and Jake Reeves. I mentioned there that Orient, who we have in a couple of weeks, and you've mentioned there the fact Kevin Nolan's departed from his position. Bit of a strange one, that one. Andy Hessenthaler promoted to manager. Kevin Nolan remains a first-team player. Could you imagine being the manager of the team that then the next week is just a member of the squad like anyone else? Awkward.
It's interesting, isn't it? You got Kevin Nolan, who is his Premiership experience is, in the goals he used to get, a quality. If he could now be taking the shackles off of his managerial duties and play football and just concentrate on that, that's great. Very quickly, I've seen a few of the goals, especially at Barnet. Kevin Nolan's body language is shocking in some of them. Throwing his arms up, looking despondent when the goals are going in. I'm not expecting him to be dancing around and trying to get the ball back and stuff like that. But he's an experienced player. But he's also gone down. He's gone down from a Premiership down to League Two, and there's levels you can move down. But that's moving from the top to really the bottom of the professional pyramid. And sometimes these players can't play in with players of lesser ability. And there's also rumours, wasn't there, that the Italian manager was trying to pick the team and so forth. But Andy Hessenthaler's a wise old fox, has been around the game a long time. It might be inspired. I don't know. I think they're out of it personally. And I'm looking forward to beating them in a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks' time. Before we move on to Joe, I must mention as well, sorry about that man of the match poll, and again, thanks to Paul Raymond for providing Twitter updates this week. You've been busy on social media as well, the Facebook page, and putting together a new Facebook page for us. So have a look on Facebook for 9 White Artists Podcast and ask to join our group on there. Picking up lots of discussions going on all week on that site, including obviously the match reports as well as discussions about ticket prices and obviously the situation at Orient as well. We've been very active on there. We also have to say, Stu put together a blog for some of our away games, the first one of which was completed this week. There's links to it on our Twitter and Facebook sites, as well as there will be one on our website as well when you listen to this podcast. Stu, what's happened with the blog this week at Plymouth?
Yeah, so we did a blog. We're looking at as we always are. We're trying to just doing different stuff that the club don't necessarily do, in which there's a gap in. As a fan, there's a gap in, and we just thought a blog would be quite interesting. We've got a friend of mine, Darren, who put together a blog, does a blog all the time, and did one on the WWE WrestleMania, which was just amazing, but a good platform.
The blog was amazing, or the WrestleMania was amazing? WrestleMania was amazing.
Well, yeah, it's just the whole presentation of this blog was very good and very eye-catching. So that was the idea I really originally had. So I couldn't make Plymouth, and we had Ball Boy Don, who's George Jones, who everyone knows as Ball Boy, at Wimbledon. He very kindly did a blog for us, and I put it together. And yeah, we've been very fortunate that the club have allowed us to use some pictures as well from Stuart Butcher, who's the official AFC Wimbledon photographer, who's allowed us to use some pictures. So thank you very much to him. So yeah, we're going to do it. It won't be every week. It'll be probably in away games. We've got some player interviews coming up, haven't we? So we may well do a blog for that. We won't give away who it is just yet, but we will have that up very soon. So it's just an idea to put a blog together, and really our Facebook presence will become heavier and heavier over the next couple of weeks as Facebook is improving along with all the others. They now do a live event now, Facebook as well, which is the live streaming. So Facebook's becoming very much catching up with some of the other social medias.
The possibilities are endless. But yeah, do have a look on our social media sites, to all the links there, and have a look at the blogger as well. Was a fantastic job done this week. I didn't bring up wrestling this week. It was Stu. I'd just like to point that one out. So for any of our listeners that say there's too much wrestling on the show, it's Stu's fault this week. But do follow... Nice. No, go on.
I just say it's been nice, and it's felt like a football podcast, which is what it says on the tin, isn't it?
Yeah, but you have to... variety is the spice of life. You want to add some wrestling in there. Follow Emma on Twitter and Instagram, just for any listeners. Follow her.
Emma.
Great.
Is she that common that she's just called Emma?
Emma, yeah. I think you have to search for Emma WWE. It's
right.
She's very good on social media. Right, Loan Watch, Stu. Our players away on loan.
It's just you said that, I'm being told by my fiancée no, in very straight terms. Cool, yeah, Loan Watch. So, as we know, Tom Beer's out on loan at Hampton and Richmond. And
Hampton and
Joe McDonald's. Richmond. It's Richmond, isn't it?
Are you sure about this?
Yes, I am. It's Hampton. It should be called Hampton, I think.
Okay.
If they're not already. But yeah, so we've got Tom Beer out there. We've got Joe McDonald, I believe, out for the end of the season out at Harrow. So this week, Tom Beer is involved in a 3-0 win against Farnborough. They are now top of the Ryman Prem, looking to do very well now. They are now 4 points clear, 2 games to go. So they should be okay. Bognor Regis, who we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, have finally started playing all their games. They've got one more game in hand, but they are 6 points behind Hampton. So realistically, it's probably Hampton's to lose. Bognor do have a better goal difference, but Hampton's final 2 games are at Grays and Enfield. I wouldn't see any problems for them. So Tom looks like he'll be receiving a winner's medal, and from what I see, he's done a great job there at Hampton. Joe McDonald, in a different end of the table, they lost 3-0 against the Met Police, but they are 15th for the moment, so they're out of relegation trouble, which they were in or abouts when Joe went there. So I think, again, it's been a good grounding for Joe.
Academy news? Any academy news this week?
Yeah, academies. So we had the under-18s. They, I think I said the other week, they were about a 12-match win streak. Well, they lost, which is soz law, isn't it, when you do that sort of thing?
Always the way.
Yeah, they went down 4-1 to Premiership New Boys Bournemouth, and now sit 4th in the Merit League 1. They played Leyton Orient on Monday morning at the training ground, 10:15, for those who want to get along. Orient are 8 points clear of us at the top at the moment. So Orient are running away with that. They're unbeaten in the league at the moment. So it's a good chance. I do know from the report we did play a few other under-18s because we had an under-21 game, which was on Tuesday. So that might have affected it because we have a strong under-18s. But, of course, if they're involved in under-21s, that takes that away. And the under-21s had a golden draw against Leyton Orient, which is the second golden draw of Leyton Orient in 2 months. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to be too keen to go and watch the next one against them.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, but just in that game, Will Nightingale stepped up his recovery, played 60 minutes alongside Paul Cannon-Bay, our under-18. So I've put down here sensation. I think he is. He's 16 years old, and from what I heard, put together, him and Will look very solid against a good Orient team. And also Cannon Smith come back and had 60 minutes.
Sorry. That's because he's Watford.
He's a Watford player, mate, but he's doing well, isn't he?
Yeah, and he could be very important, actually, if we can get him up to match sharpness in time to have a bit of a run in the first team. Who knows? He could be a bit of a wild card in our playoff chase.
Massively, yeah.
Potentially 9 games left.
Yeah, 9-game season, that's what I'm calling it.
9-game season. Wow. Thank you very much, Stu.
No problem.
We shall now play the the pre-recorded chat we had with my brother Chris. We were talking about ticket prices, and obviously we've agreed to increase prices should we be in League One next season. That was agreed at the Don's Trust SGM last week. So we discussed that and ticket prices in general. And now we will play that conversation. So enjoy, and at the end of it we'll go through and preview Crawley and Dagenham and Richmond. But enjoy this for now. Okay, so we've been joined by my brother Chris once again to have a quick discussion about ticket prices on the back of the Don's Trust SGM last week that agreed that ticket prices, should we be promoted to League One at the end of the season, will be going up next season. Not all ticket prices, but a good number of them. We'll talk about that in more detail. But before we do that, we're going to have to do our teaser now for this part of the show. Obviously, we're doing showing sections this week for obvious reasons. But I do have a teaser for both Chris and Stu to ponder whilst we have this conversation. Very simply, we're playing Crawley on this coming Saturday. Well, when you're listening to this, it's this coming Saturday. Not that we're giving any secrets of our broadcasting by. Very, very simple question, similar to last week's question. What was the score? What happened last time we played Crawley at Kingsmeadow?
That requires some thought. Okay.
I know that's a struggle, isn't it?
It's going to be a struggle. I'll have a think.
That leaves that. In a league game at Kingsmeadow.
What happened in terms of what the score was?
No, Stu, I wanted to know, when I say what happened...
Which famous celebrity died on that
date?
What time
the turnstiles open? What was inappropriate? Yes, Stu, the score.
The score.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, I'm thinking.
Right, yeah, good. Right.
What's that? What that noise is?
Yeah. You can hear those sort of cogs turning, can't you? It's like an HGV reversing. Right, so Chris has joined us. We're going to talk about two prices, as I say, SGM last week. Now, what happened last week at Donstress SGM was that it was mooted to members that prices will increase should we get promoted. And we're looking, if you look onto the Donstress website, if you're a Donstress member, you've got an email with these details. We're looking at pretty much 10% increases on a number of tickets. They seem to be mainly the adult and concession prices. Young adult and under 18 prices will not be changed, but there's about 10% increase everywhere else in the stadium for adults and concessions. 6% increase for those in the Your Golf travel stand, so not as steep for those that choose to watch down the side. First question, really, I mean, it's been given the green light. Okay, so members have voted, we've all said fine, we're happy with it, we're going to go with it. First question is, we're going to look at just a percentage increase to start with, before we look into the actual numbers. But Stu, do we need to increase prices? Is it a necessity when we get promoted that our ticket prices have to go up to enable us to compete at the next step up?
It's interesting. What I've done, I was looking at some of you probably remember, probably before Christmas, wasn't it, where the BBC did, or the BBC reported on price of football in terms of how much do you pay.
Yeah, which we spoke about on this very show.
Yeah, so I've just been nosy going back over that. And what I did, I looked at teams that were like the Colchesters of this world, Crewe Alexandra, who probably going to join us back in, well, they may crisscross us over, obviously, we may replace them in League One. And they don't, the budget, realistically, they don't look like they've gone too much higher than what we currently are. And I wouldn't suggest, I don't believe Crewe or Colchester are owned or funded by a sugar daddy. I don't believe. I might be wrong. I don't think they are. So I suppose. No, so I think if you measure it against that, then you probably would say we'll come straight back down. So the argument is, so the fan base is, do we want to go up and have a season of trying to tread water and gradually trying to stay above, try and stay in League One, or do we actually go into League One and do a Burton? Or do what Gillingham have done or Southend have done and try and give ourselves a chance. So I suppose that's the question, what was to the members. I personally think, we probably do have to increase. Whether 10% is the correct figure, I don't know, but I think we probably do have to increase if we want to compete. And I suppose as being, as me as a fan, I don't really want to go into League One and really sort of prepare ourselves to get relegated.
Which I think is the worry, isn't it? Because if you look at Oxford's recently posted financial results being 2.4 million in the red before they've even got promoted. Now, if we're going to go up into the division above and be sustainable, surely we've got to find some extra income. And if that means paying a couple of extra pounds, which I think is what it turns out to be, on the gate at Kingsmeadow 23 occasions, then so be it. We can't realistically compete at that level. And like you say, Stu, if we're going to come back down again, is that going to affect us financially as well?
Are we in a rush to get promoted, though? Are we not? Should we not be thinking longer term if we get Plough Lane, which we're still expecting to do so? Do we not think that that's the time when we want to worry about progressing up into League One, staying there, and moving on from there? Do we not think just being at Kingsmeadow, take a hit for a season, go up to League One, fine, great, we've won promotion, but you know what? If we have a season where we struggle and come back down, is there really that much harm in it?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you sort of, if you go up on a crest of a wave, don't you? So you go up with expectation. If we're sort of going there and going, well, you know what, we're going to go along for this ride, but it's going to be bumpy and we're going to probably end up in a ditch somewhere and get relegated, then is it? I suppose is that what fans want, and it's the problem. It's the problem, isn't it? You know, no matter how many times we said last year, season 4 last, we said, "Oh, we just want to consolidate." Fans don't really understand what consolidate really means, or really accept consolidate. Do you know what I mean?
What does consolidate mean?
Well, consolidate would just mean settling. For arguments, when they said consolidating in League 2, that basically meant mid-table. But the moment we got, if I remember properly, it was a season we had Michael Smith on loan.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we were sort of top 7. We were going, oh, we've got to go up, we've got to go up. We never had a budget for it. We sort of, subsequently sort of fell apart when Michael Smith left, didn't we? But I don't know. I suppose, me personally, I don't know whether I really want to go up just to not have a go and try and stay in the division. But then flipping that coin, there isn't an awful lot of difference in money going up through the leagues. That's your problem. The only thing you're going to get is you're going to play a high standard of opposition, but an awful lot more Northern games.
I'm not 100% sure on this, but isn't the bigger TV deal for Sky? I mean, we get more money next year. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, but not loads.
Not a significant amount, but it is a significant amount, but not a huge amount.
No, I think I looked. It's basically called a consolidate. They call it solidarity payments, don't they?
Solidarity, brother. That's one for our older fans.
And the thing that made me chuckle is the fact that the percentage is such. I think it works out something along the line of 80%. I think it goes 80% to the championship. 70, 20, and 10. I think it is something really stupid. Where if you're in the Champions League, if you're in the championship, you get a higher split. I think it was something like 240 grand for being in the League 2. I think it goes up to about 320. I'm searching for the figures, so I actually did post it somewhere earlier in the week. So it's I will quickly try.
But if you're saying just to pick up then, 20%, a split of 20% going to League 1 and 10% going to League 2. So unless my maths has really got bad, that is double. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, and 110% if it's 80%.
I think it was 70, 20, 10.
Oh, 70, 20.
Yeah. 70, 20, 10, yeah, sorry, 70, 20, 10. So, sorry, yeah, League 1, so as of 2015, it was £2.3 million annually to Championship, 360,000 to League 1 and 240,000 to League 2.
So then do we need to raise ticket prices if we get promoted? If we get all this extra
well, all we're going to get is 120,000. Now, how much do we want to increase our budget? Our budget, what, is 1.2 million, is it?
You would know more than I would on that.
I mean, we need the cash. Let's not lie about this. If we're going to we're doing it the proper way, and that's brilliant, and I wholeheartedly endorse it. But they've got to be some way of raising cash. And unfortunately, the easiest thing is to put the money on the ticket. It still works out. I mean, the cheapest adult season ticket's £260, and that's only £11 a game. And you wouldn't get a lot better than that in these two divisions.
I think the season tickets then would go up. That would now be £275 in League 1. That would be the cheapest you could get if we were to get promoted. The increases really are going to be the match day ticket prices. That's where the big increases are happening, where we're going up to a John Green stand seat, 20% increase for adults, 20% increase for concessions in the Paul Strength stand, you know what I mean? So we're seeing, under 18s, right, they go up by £1. It's a 25% increase, but they go up by £1. But it does seem that we are prepared to have a look at the match day prices as a way to raise the revenue. Now, how many season tickets do we have? 2,000? 2,200?
I think it's in the region of 2.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think, and this is a controversial one as well, but the problem we get is that the season tickets, we normally sell quite well, but actually the season tickets, when you work out the price of it, it actually brings, even though, yes, of course, you're getting the cash up front, it actually brings down the price of the ticket quite considerably.
It does.
Which is obviously the reason for a season ticket, I get that. But is it a case sometimes that we sell so many season tickets, we don't really have many people actually paying the top whack match day income?
Well, this is what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm looking at the actual numbers involved. It's like a 6% increase for a Your Golf Travel John Smith stand, as I like to call it. It's only in real terms, it's £1 increase. Okay, but still, that's the increase. But why, like you say, such a large percentage of our stadium then handed over to season tickets? I suppose we kind of have to make up the shortfall by increasing these match day prices even higher. But when you look at them in real terms, these prices, I know we're probably in keeping, as you said at the start, with other League One sides. We're in keeping with what the sort of average is, or we will be sticking with that. Some of these numbers, I think Chris's just eyes nearly popped out of his head when he saw that a Paul Strankstown ticket could be £29 next season in League One.
Really? Was it 25? It's 25 quid at the moment, isn't it?
£25 at the moment.
25 even now is a bit high, but 29. A bit up to 30 quid. Admittedly, it's the centre blocks. It's not the whole thing.
I was going to say 25 quid for centre. It's a decent view, isn't it? I suppose the argument is that when you go away games, a lot of times you're paying 25 quid sometimes. Exeter, I paid 25 quid to get in. Yeah, great view, but I don't want to be paying 25 quid really.
No, I think sometimes the bigger price increases in the posher seats, if we call them posh, is sometimes to subsidise the younger fans. And looking at the figures across the board for all the younger fans, I mean, there's some excellent prices in there, and that's what we've got to focus on really, is getting the younger lot in. Looking at Chemflow, it will still only be a £5 if they put £1 on it, but £5 for an under 18-year-old, and that's everyone. That's 16, 17. That's key to getting future support. So with subs, and then you're looking at the Your Go travel stand, £4 for a ticket for everyone up to under 18. It's only going to cost you, if you're one adult, one child, 20 quid or just over to get in there. £15 if you're, granddad and grandson, whatever. There's lots of different combinations, but we still want to attract the younger fans because we need them to move forward as a club.
I think, yeah. The younger fan is right, and we do some really good stuff for the under 18s and young adults and stuff like that. But I suppose what I'm looking at, and I'm probably season tickets, you get the discount because you pay up front early. Yeah, we get that. But if you look at this year, for argument's sake, if you pay £25 for an adult for a premium seat, so your prawn sandwich seat in the Paul Strang stand, for argument's sake, in the premiums you pay, it's £25 match day, but if you pay it as a season ticket, it works out £18.69. So you get a saving of £6.31 to be exact. Could we not say that actually we take away the amount of discount you get as a season ticket holder and get the increase that way? So for argument's sake, you basically increase your season ticket holder, you basically increase your season ticket price and balance it that way. Is that a way we could do it?
I mean, yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely could do it. So you're saying that this is for a Paul Strang stand?
For a Paul Strang stand with a season ticket, you save £6.31 from what a match day price is. So you get in, instead of £25, you get in for £18.69 every game.
So what are you saying to do with that £6.31?
What I'm saying is, could you not take away your percentage and go, do you know what, if you get a season ticket, you'll pay a bit more. So instead of getting a £6 discount, you get a £4 discount.
So you're saying increase it even further?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying, could we not keep the match day price the same, but could we just basically increase the season ticket prices?
Well, I think the theory behind that, vaguely been involved in ticket pricing before, is to make it so that it would be more cost effective for that person to buy a season ticket than to be a repeat purchaser of £25 tickets, is my thinking. So I think by doing that, what you're trying to suggest is, well, if you can come on 17, 18 out of the 23 games that we play at home, it would be more beneficial if you then bought a season ticket to try and just get more season ticket holders through the door. I can sort of see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I think I take your point, Stu. You're saying basically if we increase season ticket, we're giving ourselves more guaranteed income for August the 1st, essentially, aren't we? I know we're already increasing season ticket, but increase it even more, so the gap between that and a match day turn up on the day ticket is smaller.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is, of course, I know Eric and Eric have done all these calculations, but what I'm saying is
probably not. You know what Eric's like with numbers; he's not very good, is he?
Terrible. I've heard he's rubbish.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it'd be interesting to see. I think you're right. I think we've got around about 2,300 or season. I think that's around about what it is. So we're saying that nearly 50% of more than that, isn't it? We're about 50%, 60% of the ground is season ticket holders. So we're banking on match day income. And the match day income is your dearer ticket, isn't it?
It is, but then what we're sort of saying is then we're expecting at League One, like we had the conversation last week, we'd then be expecting to take that 50% of tickets that we have to sell on a game-by-game basis. We're expecting to sell a high number of those. Now, are we realistically likely to do that in League One? We're talking about a budget to essentially keep us in the league, not one that's going to get us up into the playoffs or looking for another promotion. We're going to have a season. It's going to be quite a boring season against lots of teams. Like I've said, that a promotion to League One is not particularly that exciting. We're playing teams, like I've said, we've already played a number of these teams, such as Port Vale, Southend, Gillingham, Rochdale, even Crew if they stay up. Do you know what I mean? Teams like this, Fleetwood. And if we're in mid-table and not lots happening, are we going to break the 4,000 barrier? We were struggling to do this at times in League Two.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends who you go up with, doesn't it? I suppose you go up with the likes of Northampton, got a decent away support, and they Plymouth, ourselves, Bristol. It depends who goes up if we go up.
Well, yeah. I mean, the top 4 teams at the moment that are going for, you'd say, would all bring a sellout away attendance, wouldn't they? Like Bristol Rovers, Oxford.
Yeah, and technically, who's coming down for the championship looks to be Bolton, Charlton, and someone else I can't quite remember. I don't want to remember
well,
really.
That would be a sellout. Should that happen?
They who shall not be named.
Yes.
What I'm doing, I'm just quickly looking at a blog that it's 2012, so the figures are out. But it basically said that they reckoned that in League One, Swindon Town had a budget of £3.4 million to get out of League One, whereas Rotherham had a 2.6. It looks on average that to have a reasonably successful League One team, you need to run about 2.5.
So we need to double our current budget.
It doesn't. Yeah, so it doesn't say actually who. So if our budget is 1.2, what are we? I wasn't at a Don's Trust meeting, so unfortunately, I don't know whether they actually mentioned what figure we would need to. What we're going to increase the budget to. If it's a 10% increase, are we looking to increase the budget by 10%?
Yeah, I can sort of see where you come from. I mean, just going back one step because I was going to make a point, but we went off on a tangent a bit. But I think what we need to know is, regardless of what league we're in, we want to have a good starting point, know what money we've got. I mean, if we had a crap season next year, I'm allowed to say crap, aren't I? If we have a terrible season in League Two and we're battling relegation, are we going to have that much walk-up? Therefore losing that wedge of money? Wouldn't we rather have people, like lock people into a season ticket, make them hand over the money? Sounds terrible, doesn't it? Force them at gunpoint. But have all that cash to start with, know what we can do for the rest of the season. It's like budget. Then we'd be able to budget properly. All this stuff about having walk-ups and guessing how many people are going to have in. I mean, we could have an amazing season. We could be up in League One and fill out every game. But it's a case of what if, and that's probably what this season ticket pricing and the matchday pricing is about. It's the what if scenario.
Could we have taken a chance then and said to season ticket holders, actually, instead of giving a 10% increase, we're going to give you the 16% increase, which is the matchday increase, and then say, season ticket holders, you're going to have this huge, great thing. Bearing in mind that I'm going to suggest that a number of the 2,000, however many season ticket holders we have, are going to renew whatever.
Regardless, yeah. Surely it's spreading it around, isn't it? Everyone takes a bit of a hit rather than hitting them all in one time.
Yes.
But there's loads of ways you can do it, though. Nick, I'm sort of like with you. I must admit, I'm with. Why couldn't we? You seem to get like he is going to renew, and of course you don't rely on the fact that you're just going to, because of the season you had, you're going to automatically renew. But I'd be interested to see what the stats are of what percentage of season ticket holders renew each year, and I imagine it's probably quite high for us, I would have thought.
I think
but could you not do something? Could you not do something else about, say, maybe you get 10% off at the club shop if you're a season ticket holder, or build some other incentives in that mean you still go spend your money at the club shop, but you get a bit of a discount. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to think of, are there maybe snazzy things we could do rather than just being plain sailing, but actually add value to a season ticket that actually means you still got to spend at the club anyway through, like I say, your club shop.
Maybe, Stu, we should go back to the 1980s ticket prices when the word snazzy was last used.
I was thinking we could get some sharp suits, like Liverpool team of the 90s. That would be awesome.
That would be very snazzy.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Snazzy.
I think we can, perhaps there is scope, and I guess this is, it sort of falls on us as a fan base actually to suggest these things, maybe, I guess, the Don's Trust, whether if we have an idea, maybe, for instance, setting up something like a podcast or something to improve communications or something with the fan base. That sounds
like a terrible idea.
I don't know. But do you know what I mean? Things that, Stu, you're right, that alongside your season ticket, you get an extra incentive on top of that for your money. Even if it is, Stu, something simple like you get a program at a discounted rate. Do you know what I mean? Like a quid off the program or something that comes with your season ticket.
But we all know how difficult that was, working at like 10% in the club shop every flipping time. That was an absolute nightmare when we did it back in the day.
Back in the day, for the uninitiated, just when
we all worked
you were
at
fully full-time employed.
To be fair, Chris, you would know more. To be fair, Chris, you would know that more, obviously, because you managed it, so you would know that more than, say, myself and Nick would. But bearing in mind that again, it's difficult without doing these stats, but judging by how many tops we sell, how many shirts we sell, if you go to a Wimbledon game, you see a lot of people wearing the replica shirts. Crikey, you even see people wearing the green shirt, which I think is terrible, and you still see that sold really well. So it's obvious that our fan base do go into the club shop and buy merchandise. Do you know what I mean?
I'm glad they don't go on the pitch because we'd never see him.
Maybe we could do something though that wouldn't cost us particularly any money on top of merchandise or something. Even if it was like, you know what, as you're a season ticket holder, do you know what we're going to give you? We're going to give you a tour of the stadium, and that's not exactly Kings Meadow, whatever, great. But you know what, I bet there'd be
5 minutes you never get back.
Well, no, yeah, but a lot of people would be interested. I got a tour of the stadium through when I was working at the school when we were working closely. There were close links between the football club and school I was working at the time. And all right, you know what I mean. You're not seeing Wembley, you're not seeing Old Trafford or Anfield or the Nou Camp or anything, but it's still kind of nice. I reckon a lot of our fans probably wouldn't have seen behind the scenes. We'd quite like just to have a pop into the dressing room and see what's about and have a look and see what goes on behind the scenes and things like that. It's just anything you write, Stu, that would incentivise, as a business term I don't really like to use, but people to spend maybe a little bit extra on their season ticket at the start of every season.
I have to make a disgraceful confession that I don't know what the benefits are of it, apart from going to the matches every game, of what the benefits are of being a season ticket holder. I don't know if there are any, to be fair.
Guaranteed.
It's the seat.
It's the guarantees you place.
Yeah. But then again, being a fan zone club, are we in a position to really give out free stuff all the time? I don't know.
Well, the thing is, it's a good question, Chris, actually. What does a season ticket give you? It basically means you've got a guaranteed seat, or, you know, for our sake, if you've got a seat, you've got a guaranteed seat for the whole season. It also means, in terms of if we have a good cup run, and we, for argument's sake, get a game at Liverpool in the FA Cup, and we only get an allocation of 2,000, it means that you are a season ticket holder. You know what I mean? So they're the things that normal season ticket holders benefit from normally.
Is there anything else we can add into that, though?
Well, I said to you, I remember talking to you, Nick, about the We Are Wimbledon Fund, which is a great fund that we have. But I remember saying to you that the problem you have is that there's only so many pots. People only have a pot of money and they can put it into whatever they want, but it's still the same pot of money, and it will just be whatever new fund you had, it will just be spread out amongst them. But I mean, you know, as a season ticket holder, I remember saying also with the We Are Wimbledon Fund, couldn't you have where each month there's a draw, and you select 2 or 3 people from that, and then they maybe get a match day experience of maybe meeting Neil Ardley and going to the change room and hearing a team talk before the game or something that costs nothing because it's time. It doesn't cost anything, but again, it's incentivized.
No, I agree. We're sort of branching out now, thinking about ways to increase our budget outside of ticket prices. And yes, I couldn't agree more, Stu, with the We Are Wimbledon Fund, which, to be honest with you, we don't really hear too much from at the moment, do we? I don't know how much money it raises or how many people have signed up to it. Do you have any ideas about that?
No.
I'll do some digging for you.
It was in the programme, wasn't it? I think it was it about 100,000 or something? No, the target was less than that. Sorry, the target was about 70, wasn't it?
That's a big chunk of money.
Yeah, I remember there was a target, wasn't there? For some reason, 70,000 rings a bell. I mean, I'm not too sure why, okay.
But that's a good, very, very good sum of money, I think. But you're right. Can we get that into 6 figures? Finding ways to, as you say, to make people want to get involved in these things.
Yeah. I'll give you an example, and I've raised this because I'm happy to say I don't contribute to the We Are Wimbledon Fund.
I don't either.
And I had someone come up to me and ask why I wasn't a part of We Are Wimbledon Fund. And I was quite honest. You know, I have a season ticket. I buy merchandise quite a lot every season, and I sponsor Neil Cox's away kit. Plug there. But I sponsor, and the reason I sponsor Neil Cox's away kit...
that was a name drop just there. Sorry, just heard that one.
What are you plugging?
But the reason I do that is because at the end of the season I get a signed shirt which I quite like, and also I get an evening with the team at Sponsorville. That sounded wrong, didn't it?
No one wants
have an evening on my own with the entire team.
Yeah. No one wants to know about that, Stu.
So with other sponsors, but to me that gives me value for that money that I spend on the sponsorship meal. So I wouldn't put that money into We Are Wimbledon Fund because honestly I get no additional stuff out of it.
I've got to say, I've just had a quick look at the wearewimbledonfund.com, and if anybody is listening from the We Are Wimbledon Fund, the event for the Sunday, the 1st of November, is still showing and nothing since. So maybe we all, and I do think all of us, need to start pushing other stuff like this because, as I say, at the minute, it's not... I know they've done stuff at the ground, but a lot of our stuff is online. A lot of people in America now are following us after the John Green stuff.
Yeah,
they're not going to see all this. And they lap it up. There are people on, for example, wanting to join our Facebook page. Now that's a plug, Stu. who are like fans of 15, 16 different Wimbledon talk groups, and all these people have, and the only contact they have is through the internet, through the websites. That a lot more online content needs to go into this to start raising money as well. I mean, but then we really are branching out from season tickets now.
Yeah, but we're all tying in with this idea of the reason the ticket prices are going up are to increase our playing budget. That is the reason behind it. So now we're just thinking, is there anything else we can do to avoid the price increases? And Stu, I'd say to you with your, and I do it as well. I sponsor Rice Wheaties away kit, for instance.
There's another name drop there.
Stop thumping the table.
That was just your name dropping.
The price of that is what, £200 or something?
200 quid, yes.
Yeah, we could. I don't think many people that take part in the sponsorship of the kits would turn their noses up at even a 25% increase on that.
No.
Would if someone had said to me 250, would I have gone no, having already gone 200? Probably not. I'd probably still go and pay the 250. So again, you're right, Stu. Another way we can perhaps look at increasing funds without having to look at ticket prices, which, if we could just bring it back to that to finish up on, the bottom line is, the reason we're having to do this is because playing budgets are so big now, because players' wages are so high. And we do have to think realistically, are players, as we've had this conversation before, being paid too much? I mean, that's probably another conversation for another day. £20 next season. If we're in League One, £20 to stand on the Kenflo Tempest Athletics End terrace. That seems an awful lot of money for what it is, if I'm being honest.
But again, it comes back to the point of being a fan-owned club. We need this income because we've got no. Very early on, we said about sugar daddies. We haven't got one. We don't want one because that's not how we do things. But we've got to find money from other sources, and unfortunately, that's people through the door.
And goes back to the ground, doesn't it? It goes back to how important this decision is by London Borough Mayor. London Borough Mayor?
London Borough of Mayor.
London Borough Mayor of London. It just shows how important
he is a mayor, in fairness.
The mayor. It just shows in terms of how much we need that decision to go through, because part of what we're saying here is we can't attract, or even, if we had a bigger ground, we could probably keep the price the same, because we could probably guarantee that we can increase our, the introduction of free tickets to get them back in paying another day and stuff like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that will open up if when we get the go-ahead for the stadium. There is that potential to give away, which we can't do now, and that's to get kids through the door. It's the only way people like me and Nick got involved, really, was free tickets through the Cub Scouts, if you remember, back in the day. And getting those people through the door will do us well. But in the short term, we need to make sure we get to that point with a league club, and we need the cash. There's no two ways about it. It sucks, but it's true.
And forgive me for my ignorance, but are we capping the prices if we stay in League 2 next season?
I don't think they're going up without promotion.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
another question, isn't it?
Yeah. The whole point of the Walking Dead meeting the other day was very much that the prices would stay the same without promotion.
By Walking Dead, you mean the Dons Trust SGM?
The Dons Trust SGM, which, folks, if you're under the age of 40 listening to this and you want to get involved, please do, because you will drag the average age down. We need to get more younger people on this panel. Damn, I'm getting I'm getting upset now. He says, not having gone the other day, but I had other things to do. But last week,
we all agree with that sentiment.
Last week there were a lot of people, a lot of younger people, I hasten to add.
I like the way you looked at me when you said that.
No, well, because you're
I'm
not.
only 24.
You're not. He's 24. Yeah, waist size. There were a lot of people there that were of an age, shall we say, who can afford these price increases. A lot of the younger fans were complaining, well, we don't want to pay these prices if we go up. That's ridiculous, and we can't have that. But then these people aren't having their voices heard because they're not getting off their proverbials and going to these meetings and putting their point across. And that's so. If anybody is listening, go down there, get involved, and maybe you can shape the future.
But it also goes back, and we and Nick have discussed this many a time. It also goes back to the fact of, and the Dons Trust, I still, communication is key. There's lots of things they're doing well, but I still think the thing that we fail on massively is a night we select to do a Dons Trust meeting. A Thursday is crazy. I still don't see why we can't do it on a match day. Get it done early, get some bacon sarnies in, get some sausage sarnies in, get it done in the morning. You've got more chance of people coming along on a match day and staying out a little bit longer at the club than you have realistically going down on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I don't know the logistics of that with, voluntary stuff, whether there's rules on all that. I don't know.
I think...
I mean, beer might be a factor.
It might be logistics, but I also think if you were to do it on a match day, you could actually have, instead of looking at it as a negative, I think people might look at it and think there's a bit of a restriction on time there. think that's actually a good thing. If you were to say, right, we need to have things sewn up by 1:30 at the latest, say, then it gives you a time frame of maybe, say, an hour and a half, and everything has to be done in that time scale. So everybody that attends that meeting knows that it's going to be there for an hour and a half. They're not going to be there all evening. I mean, I've been to Don's Trust meetings in the past, which have gone on for 3.5, 4 hours, and you're going on, you're not sure what time you're going to get away from, and puts people off going down to Kings Meadow, which is not the easiest place to get to as well, don't forget.
Unless you live across the road.
If you do, but how many of our fans do? And I agree, we need to think about perhaps moving these meetings elsewhere or to a different time.
It's time for the birthdays game here on the 9 Years podcast.
Happy birthday to you.
It's not my birthday, Stu.
Oh, sorry, just wanted to say happy birthday.
That's fair.
That's what we can say.
For the listeners that are listening, as opposed to what else they'd be doing, I was going to leave a little pause there, but no, we'll introduce the birthdays game with Stu's little ditty there, snazzy ditty of Stu's there.
My Stevie Wonder impression.
All about the snazzy ditties.
Yeah, well, moving
with
on.
a D.
Birthdays, there's 3 this week. Let's start with the wrestling one this week. Personal favourite of mine, Amy Dumas, or I think that's how you pronounce it. It's written Dumas, but I think it's pronounced Amy Dumas. She is formerly known as Lita from WWE. Stu, how would you reckon Lita turns this week?
Amy or Lita, one or two. Amy's quite an old name, isn't it?
I don't know. No.
Amy, she ain't I would say she's 28.
I'm going to push her into the 30s. I'd say 34.
Now you're well off. She's 41.
I was still closer, though.
I was right. It's not a young name. I should have gone with my convictions.
You should have come with it. Yes, Stu. Never mind. But she's looking good for her age, actually. Not the 41-year-old.
This is just turning into like a porn version of a WWE podcast half the time.
Sounds good to me. Next one, celebrity, Sarah Michelle Gellar, otherwise known as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Stu, do you want to... No, Chris, you can go first on this one.
I reckon she is 42.
I think she's older now. I think she's probably about 45.
No, you both gone the wrong way. She's 39.
Really?
Still closer again.
Yeah.
Must pay well then.
Well, Buffy. And finally, footballer. Stu, you can go first on this one because it's one of your favourites. Footballer Carlos Puyol.
Oh, this is another trick one. I got done on the PK one the other time, didn't I? Puyol, no, I think he made... I went and saw a game at Barcelona years ago, and I think he was making not his debut, but he was playing early on. So I swear that was back in, when I first go, about 2000. So I reckon he is about 35.
Chris?
See, I was going to go 36.
Yeah.
Chris would be closer. He's actually 38. He's turning 38 this year. Would you believe it?
Yeah. See, I went back 2000. I think he just started his career then. So, yeah, probably not far off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite weird actually, Stu, because in the year 2000, I'd have watched Lita, Amy Dumas, probably, and she would have been close to the start of her career as well. Well, a WWE career anyway. So there you go.
Sounds like you know what she did before.
A bit of information for you. The first time I saw Barcelona, I saw Guardiola play in the midfield of Barcelona. That shows how old I'm getting now.
It does actually start scary when you see players becoming managers that you watch play. That really does freak me out when I see that.
Or seeing their son plays, like when we had George Moncur play for us.
Yeah.
That is scary.
Funnily enough, actually, Stu, I was just thinking about Teddy Sheringham becoming manager, and obviously Charlie Sheringham as well.
Yeah.
It's a good shout.
It's scary.
He scored the other day.
Did he?
He did. Who? I don't know, whoever he was playing for. I just saw his name come up.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you got me. Glad you got me here.
Yeah. You can now have a go at the teaser. Did either of you have an answer for what the result was the last time we played Crawley at Kings Meadow?
Do you want to go Chris first?
There's two, and it was either a draw or it was a battering for us.
It wasn't a 2-1. It
wasn't a 5-2.
Are you thinking about a battering for us?
Yes, for us.
Oh, I see. Like against us, we got battered.
Yes, we got battered.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
A battering for
us. It was a 5-2 game, wasn't it?
I'm going to go for the battering now.
Yeah. I think you both got it. It was the 5-2. Our first season in the Football League as AFC Wimbledon, and we got turned over 5-2, despite, I believe, coming from 2-0 down to level at 2-2 at half-time, and Steve Evans famously getting his marching orders at half-time.
Yeah, we did. We got 2-2, and then they bought from 3 subs that we walked into our first team. I can't remember who it was now. I think it might have been like Pablo Mills and stuff like that. But
I think you're right, yeah.
They bought 3 subs on that would have walked straight into our first team, and you just thought, Okay, that's where the
Which was
spending
absolutely fine because the money for those players came from completely legitimate sources.
Of course.
Of course it did. But it helped Crawley get promoted to League One, and then now the money's gone, and they're back.
It's gone.
And hopefully they'll go back into non-league where they belong.
Definitely.
Hello to any Crawley fans listening.
That's unlikely.
Very unlikely. I don't know, you might get a few.
Thank you very much to Chris for joining us at somewhat short notice as well. He joined us for that, but that was a great chat. Very much enjoyed that. Always good to. No, it's not always good to speak to him, but occasionally, he's all right. He's not so bad. Stu, we've had some discussions on Facebook about tickets and things like that. So do have a look at our new Facebook group. Search for us on there and join the conversation. Any comments you want to add about the ticket prices and the potential ticket increases for next season, please do so. Let's look ahead to the weekend then, and everybody's second team, Crawley Town, visit Kingsmeadow. Crawley Town took about 9,000 fans to Old Trafford about 5-6 years ago. So far, I believe we're probably looking at somewhere between 150 and 200 making the trip to Kingsmeadow. Oh dear.
I think you're being generous as well, isn't it? From what I heard, it's 155 days sold up until Tuesday. So little activity. I think we've extended the separation in the Your Golf travel, and so it'll be predominantly Wimbledon fans there. And it's a shame that Crawley are falling on hard times, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah. Oh yeah, tragic. Feel so sorry for them. Such a lovely, lovely club that haven't been bankrolled way above their means whatsoever.
No, but we always knew it was going to happen, didn't we? We've been here before with Wimbledon fans. We've seen the teams like the Withdeans, let's go back, the Fishers of this world, the Chelmsford. They've all bypassed us at some point, and we've known eventually that we will catch up with them and bypass them, and that's what we're doing. We've seen it before, haven't we?
We have been there before. But anyway, shouldn't take too long to go through this game. We're going to win, aren't we? Simple as. Matt Harrell's not playing either, so there you go. He can't score against us this time. He's got an injury, isn't he? So they've decided, pretty rightly so, that their season is literally just playing out the season. Sitting 18th place, so he's not going to be playing against us.
So should we just say 3 points and leave it there?
Yeah, 3 points. Crawley have out of the last 6, they have won 1 out of the last 6, and that was the first of, and that was 5 games ago. They've lost their last 3. If they come to our place and dare put up a performance, I'll be absolutely livid because they've not demonstrated that in their last 5 games.
No, so I think we should be fine. That will then take us into Tuesday night and the potential of playing an already relegated Dagenham and Richmond. Do we want them to be relegated before we play them?
You never know, do you? Sometimes it's better they need something because once they're relegated, they sometimes can go through the motions with no pressure, can't they? And end up then putting results together they wouldn't have been able to put when they're under pressure. So they go to Orient, I believe, on Saturday. So you probably would think Orient would win. Stevenage have got to win as well against home to Newport. So I personally would rather them still having to get something against us because I think it would mean then they probably would come out and play. Then we could probably pick them off as Pompey did this week after being 1-0 down and end up running out 3-1, 4-1 winners in the end.
Yeah, very comfortable winners in the end. So.
Yeah, so nothing about not about putting someone down. Dagenham probably know they're down anyway. They've got to do an awful lot to come out of there, but for us, it's a great fixture. And I'd say just encourage everyone to get down there they can. It's always a great atmosphere at Dagenham in terms of they give you the end behind the goal, which you can literally we always sell out. So it should be a nice Tuesday evening.
Fixtures of the teams around us, then you've already mentioned they're late in Orient. You expect to win on Saturday against Dagenham and Richmond. Interesting that Exeter host Northampton now. Northampton haven't lost in something ridiculous, something like 84 games or something. Possibly now that they've got their promotion guaranteed, signed, sealed, delivered, they'll win the league anyway now as well. They'll be champions. Is it with Exeter with something to play for and Northampton now nothing to play for? Is that potentially Exeter 3 points and keeping right on our coattails?
Well, Northampton are promoted, aren't they? But I say they're not officially league champions yet. That's crikey. They're 12 points. Yeah. They're 12 points clear, aren't they? Do you know what? Chris Wilder comes across as a very professional person, and I don't think he will allow their standards to drop. I really don't. Exeter have put together probably a championship winning run. There's no way they can keep that going. I don't believe that. I think Exeter's lot of fixtures coming up are tough. They've got 2 home games. They've got Northampton, and in midweek they've got Mansfield. But Mansfield are one of those teams that can sort of stall your progress. But no, I fancy Northampton's get at least a draw there. You've got Pompey at home to Plymouth, which again is another interesting one. Plymouth now obviously are trying to chase Accrington and Oxford. There's a lot of, when we done the predictions, like I say, a couple of weeks ago, we did look through and there's a lot of teams that are playing each other around us. This is now the opportunity for them to lose points and us to retake maximums. So it's exciting. There's a lot of teams playing each other around the playoff situation.
Yeah, they're going to take points off each other. The ones you've sort of mentioned earlier, Carlisle in the mix as well. They tricky game away at Cambridge.
Yeah, and Cambridge have been doing well recently, haven't they?
Yeah, Cambridge have done. Their form has picked up. And then they host Luton, and who knows with Luton at the moment.
What Luton team would turn up, to be fair, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a long trip midweek, isn't it, when you've got nothing to play for with Luton, haven't it?
Yeah, just on an aside on that one, obviously I went up to watch Luton on the weekend. They lost to Accrington Stanley. They're reading through their programme. Carlisle has allocated 100 seats. I know Luton won't take that many on a Tuesday night to Carlisle, especially when they're just playing. They're seeing out the remainder of their season now. But I just thought, to Carlisle, I thought it was a very strange allocation when you consider how huge that stand is down the side. It's like, where are you literally going to segregate 100 of those seats? I don't think so.
It is a huge stadium, you're right. That's quite funny, isn't it? In terms of Luton now, I know we're a Wimbledon podcast, but Luton...
No, we're a WWE podcast, remember,
yeah.
with some Wimbledon stuff.
What's the murmurings around at Luton at the moment? Because they obviously spent... That squad is put together at a sizable expense. What's the feeling around Luton at the moment in terms of what they're going to do next season?
I think they're just using this as sort of their extended pre-season. That was what one fan said to me on Saturday. So they're considering this as an extended pre-season now. Their new manager, Nathan Jones, using this now to evaluate this playing squad he's got at his disposal and start to make plans ahead of the next season, where they'll be expected to be aiming for promotion next season. They'll still have one of the larger budgets in the division. I think some of those players they signed have just been really disappointing. For whatever reason, Josh McCoy, Paddy McCourt, just not worked out for them. But they have still got so many good individual talents in that squad. When even watching them on Saturday, although they lost, players like McGeehan and Pelly Ruddock and the likes, Alan Shearer now at centre half, they've got enough there. They've underperformed, I think, massively this season. It's
interesting, isn't it? I must admit, I was just off topic actually, not Luton, but I was looking at players that we may be looking at tempting next year. Now, I believe we're in for Josh Simpson, who is getting not much of looking at Plymouth. Not surprising when you look at McHugh and Carey in midfield, who I think are probably the best pairing in the division. But it'd be interesting to see what players Luton keep next season and whether we maybe try and pick off anyone. I wouldn't be surprised to see us going for Josh Simpson next season. He's getting nothing at Plymouth, and Plymouth's not a nice place to live anyway, really, is it? Do you know what I mean? So you want to come back to society.
Wow.
No, I don't. But I must say, every time I look at Luton, the one player that I really wish we would have been in for is the bloke with the not Michael Smith, who looks like he should be selling Big Issue, but the other one who could be selling it, McGreshan in midfield.
You mean Cameron McGeehan?
McGeehan, that's the one.
Yeah, definitely.
He's quite Luton keep hold of him.
Well, he's still only 21, so yeah,
very good player.
Very, very good player. Technically, very, very good as well. So I'd still expect Luton, with the squad they've got with a few additions, will be up and around it next season. Again, on the side there, you mentioned Josh Simpson, as we're talking about players from other divisions. It was just interesting, 442 magazine this month released their 50 top Football League players. Now, in seasons past, if your club did not have a player in the top 50, they would just give a sort of a nod and a wink to what they consider to be your best player at that club. But this season they've not done that. They've just done the top 50 Football League players and then sort of done, 8 or so from the 3 divisions, Championship, League 1 and League 2, that were just missing out. We didn't get one player mentioned. Now, I must admit, I found that very surprising. I must admit, when I looked through the top 50, having not seen Lyle Taylor's name in the honourable mentions category, I thought, he must be in the top 50 somewhere then. Ricky Holmes is in like the top 20.
Really?
Yes. But no mention of Lyle Taylor whatsoever. I thought
Ricky's had a great season, but I just think his boot contract let him down this season because they seem to knock him in studs.
That's this season, last season, every season before that.
No, to be fair, Ricky Holmes had a great season, but he goes down. If a gust of wind comes in a stadium, he's out of control.
He is.
So who was the players in the top 8 from League 2 then? If you
remember. Blimey, I can't remember all the names there. So the ones that stood out, McGeehan was amongst them. That's what.
Which I agree. Yeah.
He's not in the top 50, but he's in the top 8, missing out, as it were. I think Jabbo Ibiri was one of them. The names that came, Ricky Holmes stood out.
Jabbo Ibiri had a great first part of the season, but basically gone missing after that, hasn't he?
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, he has. I think the names that I remember from actually being in the top 50 list, I don't have it to hand, but it was Mark Richards, obviously, which is fair enough.
Yeah,
Ricky Holmes.
Taylor might possibly be at Bristol Rovers.
Which ones? Yeah, Taylor. I think Taylor was in the honourable mentions. Now you mentioned his name. And
to be fair, that's an interesting podcast we could do. You know, we could do a podcast on top players this division and maybe have some interaction. Maybe later on in the season.
Yeah, we could do. Yeah, we I'll tell you what, we'll definitely do that. We'll put that in our schedule at some point.
We'll fit it around our Wembley specials, of course. Yeah,
our Wembley specials, yes, as well as the specials for whichever team we play in the semi-finals. Hopefully not Accrington Stanley, judging on what I saw of them on Saturday, because I think they've got a good manager. He sets up that team very, very well. Very clever. But, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, to round that up, though, Stu, we're looking ahead to 6 points over the next week, aren't we?
We have to. We can't moan about the fixtures we've been given. You know, these are great fixtures, and we have to go there and, as I said on a few of the Twitter and that, let's play 4-3-3. Let's stop moaning about our pitch being rubbish. Let's play 4-3-3 and just take Crawley out early on and have a nice, comfortable Saturday afternoon.
Sounds good. Right, well, I guess that brings us to the end then of this week's show.
Thank you.
If there's anything you wish to add?
No, apart from that, I'm probably going to go out and, well, not now, but I'm going to sunbathe for a couple more days. I do have a bit of a tan, so I'm just going to make sure I top that up before I come back, and then, you know.
And I should mention, listeners, that once Stu's back, and he's back at work, next week, even more exciting than a holiday and getting a tan in Tenerife, on Monday, guess where I'm going, Stu?
Where? Oh, you're going to wrestling, aren't you?
Oh, going to the O2 for the wrestling. Yeah, baby. So good. Can't wait. So excited. Honestly, I'm like a little child.
Yes.
Yes. Let's leave it there.
Let's leave it there. Is Emma going to be there?
Oh, yes. Fingers crossed. Touch wood. Well, I will be if she is there. She will be performing. And I'm very much looking forward to that.
Performing, hopefully. That's a word. That
is a word. It's a great word. I can't think of a better one to describe it. Hopefully with Paige as well, you know. Big fan of Paige. But then she's from Norwich, so, you know.
She's got about 6 fingers.
And 6 toes. Right, that brings us to the end then. Please remember to check us out on Twitter and our Facebook pages and Facebook groups. Just search for 9YIS Podcast. Instagram as well, at 9YIS Podcast on Twitter, and Periscope footage, hopefully from the game against Crawley on Saturday as well. We shall see you next week. I'm not sure who we're going to be joined with next week, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if we've got anyone lined up. Maybe we might invite Carl Robinson, just to see if he's enjoying life in the Championship. Well, at least if he will be for another month or so. And we'll see you then.